Questions 6, 7, and 8 require the use of the distance and midpoint formulas. So I have to remember what those are. Remember, you'll have to have them memorized for the test. So the distance formula is x1 minus x2 quantity squared plus y1 minus y2 quantity squared. Whereas the midpoint is an actual point. So it's that parenthesis x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2. And so here we're finding the average of the x's and the average of the y's, whereas up here we're subtracting them in order to find the length of the line and then square it to use the Pythagorean theorem to solve. So these two formulas are going to be incredibly helpful. So if I want to find the length of AB, I need to know what my x1, y1, x2, and y2 are. So here x1 is 4 because that's the x coordinate in the first point. y1 is 5 because that's the the y coordinate in the first point. x2 is -6, the x coordinate in the second point, and y2 is 4. Knowing that information will help me plug that information into the equation. So here, I'm going to use the square root of, remember the square root bar goes all the way across, x1 was 4 minus -6 squared plus 5 minus 4 squared. Anytime I see minus a negative, I'm going to change it to adding a positive, so I get the square root of 10 squared plus, and 5 minus 4 is 1 squared. 10 squared is 100. 1 squared is 1. So my answer here is the square root of 101. Remember that even if I were to get a negative number in the parentheses here, a negative number times itself is still going to be positive at this step. The second part of this problem is to find the midpoint. Now that I've already indicated what my x1, y1, x2, and y2 are, I've already got that set up for this next problem. So here I'm going to say 4 plus 5 over 2. I'm sorry, that's incorrect. 4 plus -6 over 2. And 5 plus 4 over 2. So I'm taking my x's and adding them together, and my y's and adding them together. 4 plus -6 is -2 over 2. And 5 plus 4 is 9 over 2. And then I can do that division. -2 divided by 2 is -1. And divided by 2 is 4.5. And it is okay to get a decimal. So we can use that exact same process and the same two formulas for questions 7 and 8. For 7, I've got to do my x1, y1, x2, y2. x1 is 2, y1 is 0, x2 is 4, and y2 is 5. So I've got my x coordinates and my y coordinates. And so I'm going to put that into the distance formula. That's the length. So the distance formula is going to have me do 2 minus 4 squared plus 0 minus 5 squared. This is the square root. 2 minus 4 is -2 squared, and 0 minus 5 is a -5 squared. Then I get the square root of -2 squared is -2 times -2. That's going to be a positive 4. -5 times -5 is 25. So my answer here is the square root of 29. So again, similar process for the midpoint. I'm still using the same x1, y1, x2, y2. And so I'm going to say 2 plus 4 over 2 and 0 plus 5 over 2. And then that equals 6 over 2, comma, 5 over 2, which is 3 and 2.5. So when you use the distance and midpoint formula, it's important that you first know what the formulas are. Second, that you identify what your x1, y1, x2, and y2 are so that you can carefully plug them in, and then knowing what your answer should look like. For distance, it's going to be the square root of something, and for midpoint, it should look like an ordered pair.